Let's move on to Chargers at Lions. Man, all I could think about, Donnie, was our very own Jay Peach, who always tells us never lean Lions. I was sitting back, enjoying every second of it. What was it, 24-6, 24-9? Like Kyler Murray's going to run them back in the game. And the Lions look bad and should inspire no confidence. The Chargers have to be the look. And here we go. Chargers open up at -3. They're down to 2.5. They open up at -4 at BetOnline. At 2.5, how could the Chargers not be the look here? The Chargers just beat a far better team in the Colts. The Colts are a much better team than the Detroit Lions. We know that Derwin James' loss is going to hurt them, but the way I see this Chargers team is with Derwin James, they're a Super Bowl contender. Without him, they're still a good football team. The Chargers should go into Detroit, go into Ford Field, and take care of business. And the over should be in play. Shouldn't the Chargers take care of business here, Donnie?
I mean, they rightfully should. And this is what the tough part about it, because we like to call week 2 overreaction week, because you take what you saw week 1 and try to apply the same things week 2. And this is when football teams improve. They, get their act together. They finally play a full game. And there's a lot of, structure in the balance. What I mean by that is, like, you take a look at the Chargers 1-0. There's a lot of statistics out there to tell you, Jimmy, a football team in the NFL that goes 0-2 has like a less than 10% chance of actually making the playoffs that year. So jobs get put on the line week 2, and it really ramps up the pressure. But having said that, the stuff that we talked about all summer, Detroit's the much better football team over Arizona. They're up 24-6, a team in Arizona that can't get out of their way. And then you see it unfold down the stretch where Detroit just can't make any plays and turns into an absolute sieve on defense. They have a conversion late in the game to clinch it, where they call a timeout right as the snap is, when it looks like the screen pass is easily going to get the first down, maybe even go for a touchdown. They end up losing that game. That one hurts as they come back home. And you're not coming back home and just getting one of these teams that, hey, maybe we'll catch them on the rise, like the Giants or the Miami Dolphins, or let's get right, or the Cincinnati Bengals, like a younger team or a younger head football coach that you can kind of pick on. You're getting a really talented football team. And where's the expectations for Detroit right now? Unless I'm getting 3.5 points or more, I can't lean Detroit. I don't care that all the tickets are coming in on the Chargers and it's going to be a real contrarian play. I see what I see on the field with Detroit right now, and I can't trust them, because if you're only getting 2.5, that usually means what, Jimmy? You got to win the football game outright in order to cover.
Yeah. I mean, why do you think we're getting a 2.5 from a 3 on the Chargers?
God, maybe just contrarian. And again, getting back to that point where if you go 0-2, you can really get the casket out for your football season and start putting some nails in there, because you're not making the playoffs. And we're talking about the Detroit Lions coming home, rookie coach, didn't have a good success last year, heading into his second year. And, oh, yeah, by the way, you have the Bears, the Patriots, you have the Bears, the Packers, and the Vikings in your division, pretty good football teams. You go 0-2, just start selling off the football team. There's a lot of pressure to win and a lot of momentum building where Detroit has to win this game. But just because you have to, you still got to go out and execute. And the Chargers, damn good football team.
So I expect the public's going to come in on the Chargers throughout the week, and those 2.5s will be gone. Is that your expectation?
Yes. And again, we could be looking at, we looked at the same stuff last week, like, look at the Jacksonville Jaguars, and they got absolutely pasted in that football game. It's the same type of structure that we look at. Same thing with Baltimore that we saw week 1. Oh my goodness, look at this. Nobody believes in the Dolphins. Let's take the Dolphins, and they get absolutely run out of the building. So something interesting to keep an eye on. But right now, I don't really want anything to do with Detroit until I could see them put up on the football field.
Robert Weiner says Chargers early start, early in the year, bad spot for them. Yes, I agree with that, but I just see a talent advantage that can overcome that. What do you think of Robert Weimer's look? And he's right. Chargers early start, early in the year, bad spot for them. What do you think?
Look, it boils down. He's right about that, but it gets down to the more simplest terms in the NFL. Jimmy, it's really hard to win a road football game in the NFL. I don't care what type of football team you are. So that's always in the direction, and you're at home and getting points. I can see that point of view because I put a lot of stock in the home teams, but just the way, like if Detroit went out last week, Jimmy, and won 24-6 and closed it out, and you're looking at two, you say, you know what? Hey, Detroit, maybe you can get to 2-0. But the way they collapsed, the way they went into overtime, the way, actually, I mean, they didn't lose the football game. I should correct that. They lost for me because I had the -2.5, but they tied. That feels like a loss on the road coming home. That's what I look at more. That was deflating for Detroit.
Garvey and I'm on the same page. He says Chargers -3, although you grab the 2.5, and he says the over looks good. I think the over looks great. I think there's going to be scores in this game. What do you think?
Yeah, a tough one. I don't know what I'm getting out of Detroit yet, because if you're asking me if it's this football game, you're always going to get a pretty clean game out of the Chargers. Phillip Rivers and that offense, they have weapons. They can get after it. But I'm looking at the opposite side, because when we looked at last week with the Arizona Cardinals defense, that's not nearly as good a pass rush that they're going to be getting this week. So if you put up 24 points and then just went into a shell and struggled in that football game, where do you get a load of this front seven coming after you from the Chargers?